It's January 1st. The calendar resets. The gym suddenly has a waiting list. Everyone is drinking water like it's a personality trait. And somebody somewhere is deleting every app except a meditation app they will forget about by January 4th. New Year's resolutions are wild because they reveal one simple truth. Some people treat the new year like a fresh start. Some treat it like a strategy meeting. Some treat it like a vibe. And some treat it like a personal attack. But here's the twist. How you make resolutions and how you handle success or failure is not random. It's heavily influenced by your personality type. Today, we're diving into all 16 MBTI types and their New Year's resolutions. Who writes goals like they're launching a business? Who creates a vision board that could power the sun? Who refuses resolutions completely because time is a social construct? And who makes one very specific goal and actually follows through? Quick disclaimer. These are fun generalizations, not psychological diagnoses. If you feel personally exposed because I'm describing your exact January routine, that's between you and your 47-tab productivity system. If you love scarily accurate MBTI breakdowns that make you laugh, cringe, and suddenly understand why you keep starting over every Monday, hit like, tap subscribe, and drop your type in the comments below. Because here on Personality IRL, we don't just talk personality. We decode the habits, motivations, and patterns behind what you do, especially when the new year rolls around. Alright, let's crack open the brand new planner of the human mind. These four do not play games with resolutions. They treat January like a launch date. The ISTJ's New Year's resolutions are practical, measurable, and quietly unstoppable. They are not making goals like be happier because that is not a plan. They are making goals like improving their sleep schedule, budgeting consistently, working out 3 days a week, or finally organizing the garage. They approach resolutions like maintenance. They see life as something you keep running smoothly through consistent habits, not dramatic reinventions. When they succeed, they don't brag. They just keep going. When they fail, they do not spiral emotionally. They adjust. They analyze what went wrong, tighten the routine, and restart without theatrics. For the ISTJ, growth is not a performance. It's a quiet commitment. The ESTJ's New Year's resolutions sound like a corporate plan for a successful quarter. They set ambitious goals around productivity, health, finances, and achievement, and they expect results. They often resolve to wake up earlier, improve discipline, lead better, be more efficient, or finally take control of something that's been slipping. They might also push themselves to improve family routines, household order, or community involvement, because ESTJs don't just manage themselves, they manage their world. When they succeed, they feel validated. When they fail, they get frustrated and double down. They are not the type to quit. They're the type to restructure the plan until it works. If an ESTJ makes a resolution, you'll know, because everyone else will hear about the system they've created to accomplish it. The INTJ's resolutions tend to be big-picture upgrades. They don't just want to eat healthier. They want to redesign their entire lifestyle for maximum efficiency and long-term benefit. They might set resolutions around skill building, career growth, investing, learning a new system, or mastering a new discipline. INTJs love goals that move them toward independence and competence. They approach resolutions like an engineering problem. They build strategies, create frameworks, and optimize their environment. When they succeed, they quietly feel powerful. When they fail, they do not blame willpower. They diagnose the system. If they didn't follow through, it's because the plan had flaws, and they will fix it. The ENTJ treats New Year's resolutions like a full rebrand. They are the type to declare, "This year I'm leveling up," and then proceed to actually do it. Their resolutions often involve big achievements, launching something new, making more money, taking on leadership roles, improving health dramatically, or building a routine that turns them into the strongest version of themselves. They approach success with intensity. They track progress, set deadlines, and refuse to accept mediocrity. When they succeed, they don't just succeed, they dominate. When they fail, they get angry for about 5 minutes, and then turn that anger into fuel. ENTJs don't do "I'll try," they do "watch me." The planners attack the new year with systems and strategy. The next group approaches it with heart, meaning, and emotional intention. These four don't just set goals, they set intentions. The ISFJ's resolutions often focus on creating a healthier, more stable life for themselves and the people they care about. They might resolve to be more consistent with routines, eat better, save more, or create a calmer home environment. But ISFJs also tend to make deeply emotional resolutions, like being kinder to themselves, setting better boundaries, or learning to say no without guilt. They approach resolutions sincerely. They really want to do better. When they succeed, they feel proud, but quietly. When they fail, they can take it personally and feel like they let themselves down. The ISFJ's biggest challenge is remembering that progress is not invalidated by a bad week. Their growth is steady when they treat themselves with the same compassion they give everyone else. The INFJ's resolutions are almost never shallow. They are tied to meaning. They resolve to align their life with their values, deepen relationships, protect their peace, or finally pursue something that feels like their calling. They might commit to journaling, therapy, mindfulness, spiritual growth, decluttering their social circle, or pursuing creative projects that reflect who they really are. They approach resolutions like a personal evolution. When they succeed, they feel like they're becoming who they were meant to be. When they fail, they can spiral into overthinking and self-judgment, wondering what it means about them. But INFJs are resilient. They don't just start over. They reflect, learn, and try again with deeper wisdom. The ISFP's New Year's resolutions often sound like a gentle glow-up. They want to feel better, live more authentically, and have a life that looks and feels good on the inside. They may resolve to explore creativity more, travel, try new experiences, improve health in a non-toxic way, or build routines that support their emotional well-being without making them feel trapped. They approach resolutions best when they feel inspired, not pressured. When they succeed, it's because they made it enjoyable. When they fail, they don't usually punish themselves. They simply drift away from the goal and return when the motivation returns. For ISFPs, the key is creating resolutions that feel like self-care, not self-control. The INFP's resolutions are often beautiful, heartfelt, and slightly ambitious. They may resolve to write a book, start a passion project, heal emotionally, find deeper meaning, or become the person they've always imagined. They approach resolutions with hope and imagination. They picture a whole new chapter beginning. When they succeed, it feels magical. When they fail, they can feel crushed, like they've disappointed their own ideal self. And then they might cope by starting a new, fresh start on a random Tuesday. INFPs thrive when they set gentle goals that stay connected to purpose, and when they remember that imperfect progress still counts. The feelers aim for meaning. The next group aims for excitement, and sometimes accidental chaos. These four approach resolutions like a highlight reel. If it's boring, they're not doing it. The ESTP's resolutions are bold and practical, usually tied to experience, challenge, or real-world results. They might resolve to get in better shape, learn a skill, make more money, travel more, or take bigger risks. They do not like vague goals. They like goals that can be felt. Run faster, lift heavier, do something exciting, make life more fun. When they succeed, it's because they turned it into a challenge and actually enjoyed it. When they fail, they shrug and move on, because they don't see failure as identity. They see it as feedback. ESTPs don't wallow, they pivot. The ESFP makes resolutions that sound like, "This year I'm going to live." They want more fun, more connection, better self-care, and more moments that feel alive. They may resolve to be healthier, more consistent, or more responsible, but they'll frame it in a way that feels enjoyable, like trying new workouts, cooking fun meals, or joining social activities that keep them motivated. When they succeed, it's because the goal stayed emotionally rewarding. When they fail, they might feel guilty, then bounce back quickly by reframing everything as a new beginning. ESFPs are not quitters, they're restarters. Repeatedly. With enthusiasm. The ENTP makes resolutions the way they start hobbies, with excitement, big ideas, and 5 different approaches happening at once. They might resolve to learn something new, start a business idea, optimize life, improve productivity, or finally commit to a system. Ironically, a system they will immediately begin tweaking. They approach resolutions like experiments. They love testing methods, apps, routines, and theories. When they succeed, it's because they stayed curious and kept it interesting. When they fail, they don't feel ashamed. They simply say, "Okay, that was not the best model," and try a new one. Their greatest strength is adaptability. Their biggest weakness is boredom. The ENFP's resolutions are hopeful, emotional, and inspiring. They want to grow, heal, thrive, and become their best self. They might resolve to improve relationships, pursue a creative dream, start a healthier lifestyle, or finally be consistent with something that matters to them. They start strong because they're fueled by inspiration. They can go from zero to a full vision board overnight. When they succeed, it's because their goals stayed tied to purpose and joy. When they fail, they can spiral and feel like they're falling behind, then revive themselves with a brand new identity reset. ENFPs don't just make resolutions, they make story arcs. The action seekers chase the thrill of a fresh start. The final four? They approach resolutions with balance, logic, and group awareness. These types can be surprisingly disciplined, just in very different ways. The ISTP doesn't always do formal resolutions. They're more likely to quietly decide, "I'm going to improve this one thing," and then just do it without announcing it. Their resolutions tend to be practical, improving a skill, getting stronger, fixing their routine, saving money, or learning something hands-on. When they succeed, it's because they built a simple, realistic plan. When they fail, they don't panic. They adjust and try again later. ISTPs are steady when they keep it low drama and actionable. The INTP may either make no resolutions at all, or make extremely complex ones that involve systems, theories, and a new method for life improvement. They might resolve to read more, learn more, improve health, reduce distractions, or finally finish projects they keep thinking about. Their challenge is not motivation, it's follow-through. They can stay stuck in planning and research mode. When they succeed, it's because they simplified and focused. When they fail, they may feel frustrated with themselves, then retreat into thought, and eventually return with a better strategy. INTPs don't give up, they iterate. The ENFJ's resolutions often focus on becoming a better version of themselves in ways that help others too. They might resolve to strengthen relationships, become healthier, improve boundaries, serve their community, or level up leadership and purpose. They approach resolutions passionately and can be very consistent when their goal ties into meaning. When they succeed, they feel fulfilled. When they fail, they may feel guilty and overly responsible, as if they let everyone down, even if the goal was personal. ENFJs thrive when they remember they are allowed to grow for themselves, not just for everyone else. The ESFJ loves New Year's resolutions that create stability. They might resolve to improve routines, keep the house organized, eat healthier, build stronger family traditions, or become more consistent with planning and self-care. They approach resolutions with sincerity and strong effort. They're often the type who actually sticks to the plan because they attach it to family life and daily structure. When they succeed, they feel proud and more at peace. When they fail, they can feel embarrassed or discouraged, but they usually get back on track quickly, because consistency is part of who they are. ESFJs don't just make goals, they build lifestyles. So, what kind of resolution person are you? The planners set systems and crush goals. The feelers set intentions and grow from meaning. The action seekers chase excitement and reinvention. The harmonizers build sustainable routines and steady progress. No matter your type, your success isn't determined by whether you never mess up. It's determined by whether you keep showing up after you do. Now it's your turn. Drop your MBTI type in the comments and tell us, do you love New Year's resolutions, hate them, or make them and forget them by January 7th? And if this video made you laugh, feel seen, or suddenly realize why your goals always look the way they do, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We post weekly MBTI deep dives that blend humor, psychology, and real-life relatability, so you can understand yourself, improve your habits, and laugh at your patterns along the way. Because here at Personality IRL, we don't just talk personality types, we help you use them. Now go drink some water, write down one realistic goal, and please, for the love of all things, don't make be perfect your resolution.